What Captain Marcus Cole pulled from the ocean that day was never supposed to be found, and what the military told him afterward changed everything he thought he knew about his own past. It started as a routine rescue operation off the coast of Kodiak Island, Alaska. A fishing vessel had capsized in rough seas, and Marcus's Coast Guard unit was first on scene. While securing the area and pulling survivors from the freezing water, his crew noticed something beneath the surface. An enormous shadow drifting slowly under the wreckage. At first, Marcus assumed it was a whale drawn in by the commotion. But as their boat maneuvered closer, the silhouette sharpened. The shape was wrong. Too wide, too angular. Nothing in any marine biology textbook matched what was gliding beneath them. His crew went silent. Every man on that boat felt the same primal instinct telling them to leave. Then, the creature broke the surface. Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. His hand tightened around the radio, but no words came. The thing was enormous. Easily 60 feet long, with a ridged back and skin that looked almost metallic under the gray Alaskan sky. It moved with a slow, deliberate power that made their rescue vessel feel like a toy. "What the hell is that?" whispered Leo, his youngest crew member, gripping the railing until his knuckles turned white. Nobody answered. Before Marcus could form a plan, a scream erupted from the second rescue boat 200 yards east. The creature had passed beneath it, and the wake alone flipped the vessel, throwing 4 men into the freezing water. "Get us over there now," Marcus ordered, already steering hard. His crew scrambled to the rails and hauled the soaked, panicking men aboard one by one. Within minutes, every rescue team in the area pulled back to shore, abandoning the operation. No one wanted to be on that water a second longer. Now, if you're already hooked, do me a favor. Drop a like right now and subscribe if you haven't. I promise you, this story is about to take a turn nobody saw coming. Back on the docks, the rescued crews traded shaken accounts of what they had seen. For most of them, it was the most terrifying moment of their careers. But for Marcus, it was something far more personal. He had seen that creature before. He was 9 years old, fishing with his parents near Kodiak Island, when something massive struck their boat from below. His father lost his footing and nearly went overboard. His mother screamed. The hull cracked but held. They limped back to harbor with a story no one believed. For years, his family was ridiculed. Neighbors called them liars. Kids at school called Marcus Monster Boy. His father, a proud and quiet man, never spoke about that day again. He carried the humiliation in silence until the day he died. Marcus had sworn on his father's grave that he would find the creature and prove his family right. Now, 30 years later, it had resurfaced, and he was not going to let it disappear again. But he couldn't do it alone. He needed funding, equipment, and people brave or crazy enough to dive into the deep with him. That opportunity arrived faster than he expected. "That thing destroyed my yacht like it was cardboard," said a voice behind him. Marcus turned to find Victor Ashford, a retired tech investor whose vessel had been among the wreckage. Marcus had personally pulled him from the water. Victor was not the type of man who accepted mysteries. He was the type who funded answers. Over drinks at his lakeside estate that evening, Marcus laid out everything. His childhood encounter, the creature's return, his plan to track it beneath the surface. Victor didn't flinch. He wrote a check and made 3 phone calls. Within a month, Marcus had a deep-sea research submarine, a qualified captain to pilot it, and 3 volunteers from his own crew willing to descend. The team was small. Leo and Reese had both witnessed the creature during the rescue and needed no convincing. Wyatt, Marcus's most experienced diver, joined for the challenge alone. The submarine's captain, a retired naval officer named Haruki Tanaka, came with the vessel. He was meticulous, skeptical, and had spent 20 years navigating ocean depths. He did not believe in sea monsters. On a cold Tuesday morning, they launched from a private dock and submerged into the dark waters north of Kodiak. For the first 3 days, routine dominated. Haruki ran equipment checks and navigation drills while the crew studied sonar patterns and ocean maps. Morale was high. By day 5, the novelty had faded. The submarine was cramped, the lighting harsh, and the silence of the deep ocean pressed against the walls like a living thing. Tempers shortened, conversations dried up. Marcus spent hours staring at the sonar screen, watching nothing move. On the 8th night, everything changed. A massive blip appeared on sonar, moving steadily toward their position. The crew gathered around the screen, barely breathing. The object was enormous and it was alive. But before they could react, Haruki noticed something else on the ocean floor below them, a shape too geometric to be natural. He adjusted their descent, and as the submarine's floodlights cut through the black water, they all saw it. A military submarine, wrecked and resting on the seabed. The hull was torn apart, deep dents caved inward, metal peeled back like paper. This vessel had not sunk from mechanical failure. Something had attacked it. Marcus and Leo suited up immediately. They exited through the airlock and descended toward the wreck, their helmet lights slicing through clouds of silt. The damage was worse up close. Entire sections of the hull had been crushed with a force that defied logic. They circled the wreckage, looking for an entry point, but every opening was twisted shut. Leo drifted lower, drawn by something half buried in the sand near the bow. Then Haruki's voice crackled through their helmets, sharp and urgent. "Get back inside, now!" Marcus turned to find Leo, but he was frozen 30 feet below, staring past Marcus into the open water. Marcus followed his gaze and felt his stomach drop. A shark, massive, at least 20 feet long. It was circling Leo in slow, tightening loops. Marcus reached for the emergency flare on his belt, but hesitated. Light in the deep ocean was unpredictable. It could drive the shark away or attract something worse. Before he could decide, the shark jolted sideways and vanished into the darkness as though something far larger had spooked it. Marcus grabbed Leo and turned toward the submarine. That is when he saw it. The creature, their creature, it hung in the water beside the submarine like a shadow given mass. Its body was impossibly large, its skin textured with ridges that pulsed faintly, almost bioluminescent. Two pale, disc-shaped eyes reflected their helmet lights with cold intelligence. For 5 eternal seconds, no one moved. Then Marcus made the hardest decision of his life. "We go back, now." They swam, slowly, deliberately, fighting every instinct to sprint. The creature did not follow. When they sealed the airlock behind them, the relief lasted exactly 4 seconds, because standing inside the submarine were 6 armed military officers. Haruki, Wyatt, and Reese were already in handcuffs. A second submarine had docked with theirs, while Marcus and Leo were outside. The officers restrained them without explanation. Marcus tried to speak, tried to tell them what was outside the hull, but they were not interested. They already knew. Through the porthole, Marcus watched the creature circle both submarines. The officers never once looked at it. The submarine shuddered violently. A deep, metallic groan echoed through the vessel. Then silence. One officer spoke into his radio. Target secured. Hours later, Marcus and his crew sat in a sterile white room on a naval base they had been blindfolded traveling to. A woman in a decorated uniform placed 5 folders on the table. Non-disclosure agreements, she explained, without emotion, that the creature was the result of a classified genetic modification program that began in 1987. Marcus felt the room tilt. 1987. 3 years before his childhood encounter on Kodiak Island, his family had not been crazy. They had been the first civilians to ever witness an escaped specimen, and the military had let them be discredited rather than risk exposure. His father had died believing no one would ever know the truth, and now Marcus knew it but could never speak it. He signed the papers. They all did. The crew was transported home separately. No one called each other afterward. The shared silence was heavier than any ocean. Leo moved to Colorado, as far from the coast as he could get. Wyatt retired early. Reese never went back on the water. Marcus returned to Kodiak. He still captains rescue operations. He still watches the water every single day. Sometimes, on quiet nights when the sea is glass, he swears he can see a shadow moving just below the surface. He never looks away.